Kip Moore on Pure Country. How are you?
I'm good. Good to be here.
It's good to see you. I remember we caught up for like a minute last summer.
Yeah, what was that?
Lucknow, Music in the Fields.
That's right. That's
hmm
right. Yeah. We did.
And you promised that you're going to be releasing an album soon.
I, I did.
You
And I
keep
and
your
I
promises.
and I came through with
You did. And it's a big album too.
it.
Like
Is
a lot of
is
songs.
it too big? You
No,
said
it's
that like it's too
no.
big. Yeah.
I'm happy. Most people either go, I feel like it's the right amount because sometimes they go a little too big and
Yeah.
then not
Yeah.
right.
This will be the only time I ever do that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something that was like premeditated. If you listen to the record, it's very different from side one to side two. Like A and B are very different than C and D.
Yeah.
And A and B was supposed to be the record. And when I finished it, I was like, all right, well, I finished the record. And they said, well, you got 4 months
hmm
to turn this in before we have the cutoff line to get it all like pressed and vinyl
Right.
pressed. And I write every morning, so it wasn't like I was going to stop writing. And then it was kind of like the cathartic process behind one, which was by far the most personal, heavy record that I've written. Mentally, I was done. Like I was in a whole nother place
Yeah.
when I finished that with Southern Sun. And I found myself then doing like Alley Cat and Love and War and Live Here to Work. And it just the whole tone started to change. But I was just like, one time, let's just give the fan base a really big record. And then
Yeah.
this next one is going to be I've already made it. Like I've already written it. And I'm like, it's going to be the shortest record that I did.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
We talked about this last summer. Something that I've always loved about you and your music and your art is that from the very beginning, you've never wavered. Like you've grown and matured in your music and your story, but you as an artist have stayed true, like where new fans can go back and listen to your music and not feel like, whoa, he
Yeah.
totally changed course.
Yeah. I mean, there's a thread
Yeah,
that goes through, even though the music is always evolving.
for sure.
The sounds and the
Yeah.
instrumentation, the arrangements. But it's not like, even with doing something like Love and War that is such a purely rock and roll tune,
Oh, yeah.
it's not like you can't go back to the first record and say, well, wait a minute, there was a lot of rock and roll elements that were happening on that first record with
Mhm.
Drive Me Crazy and Crazy More Time, Faith When I Fall.
Yep.
And then Wild Ones really started to,
Yeah.
tip my toes into that water, which is what I was raised on. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a thread going through, but this is, each time it's just been a different thing.
Yeah. This feels like an all-encompassing Kip Moore
Yeah.
record. There's a song on there that I've kept going back to. Every time I put the album on, I'm like just waiting for it because it's such a storytelling song.
Mhm.
Like You Stole It.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of my favorite
Thank you.
songs I think you've ever written.
Thank you.
It's like Alan Jackson Drive.
Yeah.
Like where you, as soon as you hear your voice, you're just hooked and you're like, where's this story going? I want to hear every word.
And the really interesting thing behind that is I had my buddy Jaron Johnson out to my house on the East Coast, and we were holed up together for 4 or 5 days writing a lot of this record. And I'd have Casey Beathard out there, and but that particular night, Jaron was there, and we'd been writing all day. I think we'd written 2 songs that day, and I could hear him messing around with some of the music upstairs to that at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd already kind of got in my bed, but I
Yeah.
could hear it going on in the loft. And then I kind of crept up there and we start writing in the middle of the night.
That's
And
so
so,
cool.
yeah, and we both lost our dad. So it was kind of like we were both, it was a fresh wound for him.
Mhm.
He had just lost him.
Yeah.
And he was dealing with a lot. And so we had a lot of talks about our dads. And it was interesting because, like him, he said that he had been trying to write something about his dad, but it always felt contrived, which is the same thing I dealt with.
Yep.
I needed time before something that wasn't disingenuous would come out.
Mhm.
So it was the same way with him. His dad had been gone for a year and a half or so, and it was like, then that song was born.
What a song
Yeah.
to honor your dads with.
Yeah.
Though. It is so good. The album Solitary Tracks, something that I don't know if you went through this in high school or when you were in school, being an outsider, feeling a little bit different or feeling, like you don't fit in the main crowd.
Yeah.
It's always such a negative thing. There's always such a negative connotation that comes with that. But you are such a trailblazer for that being different and
Yeah.
doing your own thing and not following the crowd is actually a positive thing. What
Y-
changed for you that you were like,
Yeah, I mean,
this is good?
I'll be honest. I feel like I've always been very comfortable in my skin.
Yeah.
And I really feel that way. I feel like I've never felt the need to impress or keep up with the Joneses. But for me, there is that constant wrestling with. I was saying this in the other interview, is I feel like a lot of times that somebody dropped me off here on this planet. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm from somewhere else. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. And I feel that way all the time. I look around me and I'm like, God, everybody's lost their dang minds. And I with everything, and you see blue, I see green. The whole room sees blue, I see green. And so they're definitely, for me, it's just being comfortable with sitting on the outside fringe, knowing that the whole pack is over here, and it is safer to kind of hang out with this pack over here. But that has never been enticing for me. And it's not just because I want to be defiant. It just doesn't look fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't look interesting. And it doesn't look like I can grow sitting over there with, it's just a big echo chamber. So for me, I've always kind of liked doing a little more of a solitary journey, and I crave community, and I get that, and I love being around people, and but I feel like solitude is what breeds thought, and solitude breeds reflection, and it allows you to unpack the things that you've compartmentalized in your life if you're willing to go there.
Right.
And then, like, when you take a road that's less traveled, there's just so much more joy that comes with it for me. There's things that I like that people are doing, but when it sounds like everything else, nothing about that seems enjoyable for me or fulfilling. So I've just learned to rest in, do what I do, keep my head down. And yeah, I think that's what helps me keep my sanity too, and able to lay my head on my pillow.
Yeah. What is if you are trying to find solitude, maybe like right now you've been on tour, you're surrounded by so much kind of busyness and go, go, go. When you get that moment to find solitude and be in your own mind and your own thoughts, where are you going?
Oh, wow. Well, if I have time,
You have all the time in the world.
If
Where
I
are you
have
going?
time, I'm going to the Hawaiian Islands.
Okay.
There's something so special for me. It's not special for everyone. For me, the way that people have taken me in there, that place, there's nothing like it for me. I love Central America. I love the people down there. I'm going to try to go somewhere and surf for sure. If I get any kind of time, if I've got a window, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting me a dirt bike, you know.
This turned into a wild day.
I take one little backpack and that's it. I take a couple t-shirts and I'm gone.
You're gone. What was your first, because I'm assuming you have done a lot of traveling alone.
A lot.
Yeah. Where was the first place that you ever traveled by yourself?
Wow. God, there's just been so many.
I've never traveled alone.
I mean, I was going into movie theaters at 16 years old. When you think about, like, that's when I didn't think about it then, because I was 16. I was just like, well, this is just who I am. Like, I can remember I would continue practicing basketball, skip the 7 o'clock show that everybody was going to, all my friends, just so that I could go to the 9 one by myself.
That's awesome.
But I look at that now and I'm like, that's odd. For a 16-year-old, that's a little odd, you know? And I've just been that way from an early age. But I would say that Central America was my first big solo trip. I've done a lot of solo trips, but that was my first one that was like, okay, you're going into another country, passport, you know, that whole kind of thing. That was the first kind of, all right, didn't really know where I was going to stay, didn't have anything booked, got there.
Am I nervous?
Truly.
You've already done it, but
Yeah.
I'm nervous for you.
And
Like,
just winging it,
yeah.
and at that time in my life, I had never really surfed. And I can remember just getting in that. I went to a particular break that's heavy, and I didn't know that. I'm just like, well, I've heard this place has got waves, and almost dying, truly almost like drowning,
Oh no.
but being like, man, what a rush that was. I'll be out there tomorrow first thing in the morning. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna figure out how to do this, and I just did it over and over till I figured it out.
See, and that says so much about who you are, your character, because a lot of people, like, being in face of fear,
Yeah.
something scary like that, they'd be like, never doing that again. And you
And I think I
used it as
purposely
like,
try to.
yeah,
I've been petrified of heights my whole life, like crippling fear of heights. But then I forced myself to learn how to lead climb, like on like
Yeah.
200-foot cliff lines, So
yeah, because you're rock climbing, like,
I'm not like I'm nothing special, but I do enjoy it. I
yeah,
don't do it enough to get really good at it, but I have spurts of it. But my friend Jeremy Sawyers is an incredible climber. Him and his girlfriend Mary, they're so good, and they kind of taught me. And so, yeah. So whenever I get the chance, I'll go with them. But it's at times crippling for me to do it, but I make myself go through with it.
yeah. It's important. I feel like that it's what makes you stronger.
Yeah.
You got to push yourself sometimes to like face those fears.
Yeah.
I know surfing is something that I've always wanted to do, and I've never done it. So I feel like every
There's
time I
nothing
talk
like it.
to you, I'm like,
No, I mean,
go surfing.
there's if I could get everybody on a board
Yeah.
to get rid of whatever fears they have and just go for it and like really try to stick with it and like don't let it psych you out when it when it churns you, and it's like there's no faster way, and I feel like I've done a lot of things. There's no faster way to tap into child joy, which is impossible once you get to a certain age.
It is.
That uninhibited childlike joy is dang near impossible to tap into.
Yeah.
You have happiness,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like where you truly feel 9, 10 years old, your spirit feels so alive. And that's what I have for like 2 straight months when I go surf.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
And surfing's the only thing that does that for you.
That does that.
That
Yes.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you are making this record, are you immersing yourself in those kinds of activities, or are you not able to? Like, are you writing at home in Nashville, or are you trying to go to Hawaii and write?
Both.
Both.
The last 3 records that I've made, 4, going back to Slow Heart, I've written half of the record down in Central America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you bring people from?
No.
Nobody. Okay.
No. So with a lot of it, I'll start the song and try to get at least halfway through.
Okay.
And it's not something I'm like, I have to finish this halfway before but I normally it's just the way I operate. I'll get the bulk of it going. And then there's a lot of times where I'll just finish it solo. But a lot of times I want to hear what Luke Preston's perspective is, what Andrew DeRoberts, what Dan Couch, what Jaron Johnson, what Casey Beathard. I appreciate their ability so much, and I like to hear what their take on what I'm doing is. So I enjoy that collaborative process. But yeah, I mean, I normally start the bulk of it solo, and then I link up with people. I don't have very many scheduled write days.
Gotcha.
So I've probably, have easily over 500 songs that I've started solo that are halfway done that I just haven't finished.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Songwriters that are watching this are probably like, we need to get those.
Yeah. I mean, I write every day and just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
I have stuff going on constantly in my head. And so I just try to get it out right away when I wake up. And sometimes it turns into 10 hours later.
Yeah.
I'm still on it, or I come back to it throughout the day or whatever.
There's a line in the Like You Stole It song that says, like, every memory needs a soundtrack.
Yeah.
Reference Night Moves, which is one of my favorites. What in this time in your life, what do you feel like is the song that kind of represents this era of Kip Moore?
Like like that song that's not mine.
Yeah.
Oh wow, These Days, Jackson Brown.
Oh,
Well, I've been out walking. I don't do that much talking these days.
yeah.
It's one of my all-time favorites. But
Love
that
that.
one probably, you know, don't remind me of my failures as if I've forgotten them is one
Mhm.
of my all-time favorite
Yeah.
lines. But that song carries so much weight that you have to live some life before that can really resonate
Yeah.
with you.
We understand the lyrics
Yeah.
and go, oh, that's what he's talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that for sure. Cool change. My dad, like my dad, the way that Night Moves, even, my dad was always playing Night Moves.
Hmm.
Bob Seger was his favorite. But even like a song like Cool Change by Little River Band, I didn't think that was that cool when I was little. And now I'm like an adult and I'm like, wow, this is some rad music.
Yeah.
It's so sophisticated. And then the lyric, you got to live some life before you get it.
Yep.
And now I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
wow, this song resonates with me.
That's what's so cool about music. It comes
Yeah.
back around. Okay, last thing before we go, because I don't know if you know this, but basketball was invented by a Canadian.
Great shoes, by the way.
Thank you. So you're a basketball
Yeah.
guy, like played through.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Who are you choosing if you could pick anybody in
Kawhi
music?
Leonard, wherever Kawhi Leonard goes. Okay, we're going to music. Okay,
Music.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Who are you picking? Who do you think is the best ball player to play if on your team if you're going to choose someone to play with you
Wow.
other than yourself?
Who would I pick to like run with me?
Yeah.
I have heard that Matt Stell can play a little bit.
I mean, he's as tall as the basketball.
But
net,
that don't
so I
always
feel
mean a
like
whole lot.
he's
That don't
probably a
always
good
mean a whole
pick.
lot.
Yeah,
I've-
he a basketball?
I've done in
coach?
a whole lot of tall people before. But I hear he can actually play.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, he was like, I feel like I saw a video where he had
Yeah.
like played LeBron James or something.
I don't know about all that.
I'm gonna fact check this, but I'm pretty sure
Anyways.
in college or something.
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of my high school tournaments before I went and played college ball, I was doing high school tournaments with Kobe and some of those guys, but it's like I didn't actually have to. I never had to guard Kobe or Mike Bibby. They lost before, like our team had advanced to the championship. I was gonna have to guard Kobe, but his team got beat. But he was incredible. There would have been
Yeah.
nothing I could have done with him. Like I was watching him play and just like, what am I gonna do with this guy? Like he's an animal out here. But yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, that's
All right.
where I would go.
Well-
is I've heard that Matt can actually play.
Yeah. If there's ever a basketball tournament,
Yeah.
we'll make sure you guys.
And
get
he seems like
paired
a
up.
funny
He
dude.
is.
He seems like he loves to talk trash, so I would enjoy.
He's
I
hilarious.
would enjoy. Yeah,
Yeah. He
he
is.
seems that way.
Good time. Well, it's always good to see you.
Always.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Solitary Tracks, Kip Moore on Pure Country.